Hi, my friends. I am back with a tarot reading. Okay, I tried to do this intro once, and I'm gonna try a second time. So, my intention for this reading is to tap into a collective of people across time. Just may this video find who it needs to find in the exact right moment. And I specifically want to pull on threads of clarity, integration, sense making, grounding for the people who are going through things that are stressful, confusing, ungrounded, don't have an end. Maybe they seem to kind of come out of nowhere. But with that, I am a believer or a knower of this in my experience, and that is the body, the emotions, and the somatic alarm bell system, the somatic body, the intuition, the animal sense, your visceral knowing. It's responding to something. I don't know what, and it's not always possible to know what whenever it happens. But I will always be an advocate, I will always be a voice for this fact that what you're experiencing has roots somewhere. And depending on its roots, how do I put this into words? Sometimes the root, knowing and understanding the root of your struggles and these, enemy attacks or emotional baggages or triggers, traumas, whatever, when you understand the root, the complexity, the nuance, the dynamics that are at play beneath these things that feel like they're just winning over you, right? I think we all have felt moments in our lives of, I surrender, I don't know what to do, I feel defeated, I feel exhausted, I feel depleted, I have no clarity. That's a human experience. And depending on why that's happening, we can gain empowerment because we have knowledge, we have understanding of why this thing is happening. So we can see above it and we can realize, we can gain a little bit of enlightenment, like a dose of clarity. Because if we understand that the source of it is insubstantial, or if it's a lie, for example, if it's a false belief, if it's something that was fed to us to control us or manipulate us, then when we realize that on a somatic feeling, knowing level, all of a sudden we feel spaciousness open up and we are able to receive joy and reclaim our energy. And I heard someone say this, I think in an Instagram reel the other day, that no, it wasn't a reel, it was a video I was watching on this Jewish education channel on YouTube about faith and about people who have gone through horror stories and how they found faith and found God through times where they didn't think that they were going to be able to wake up the next day or even stand up. I mean, horror stories. And this woman said, whatever I just said. What did she say? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, that tends to happen when I'm trying to weave together like multiple thought streams at once. So anyway, I'm just going to kind of get into this. Ultimately, what I want to say is that what you're experiencing is coming from somewhere. And I'm going to just pause this for a second to collect my thoughts. Okay, so my main question is going to be, what are some different threads for whoever is meant to find this video that reveal the source of your struggle, your lack of clarity, your pain, whatever it is that is burdening you right now. I want to pull some threads, paint a picture, tell a story, and hopefully help you and give you clarity. Secondly, before I begin, I do want to say this. The last video that I think it's going to be, I'm uploading a video right now on my phone, and I don't know what order this video is going to post. This probably will come right up. Yeah, this is going to come right after that video. So if you go on my channel, the previous video I posted right before this one, I was feeling in that video, I was feeling hollow and empty and just pretty awful all day. And I hadn't felt that intensely off in a long time. And it was really pretty surreal. And I made that video before I found out why I was feeling that way. And I'm kind of glad I did. And then I found out later that night, I received a message and it made everything click. And I was like, this is the exact energy signature of the content of this message that I received. It's specific, it's unique. There's literally nothing else in my life that matches that frequency. And I was like, this makes sense. This is why I felt this quality of despair, the kind that made me feel the specific ways that I felt. So that was, I don't know, like 100th or 1000th. I don't know. That was one of many little examples in my life that validated what I think I said earlier in this video, that your animal knowing, your intuitive knowing, your sense is not coming out of nowhere. It's rooted in something, whether it is its origin is in you or in some external force that you're picking up on. And everybody is, made differently. I don't know. I guess I tend to kind of blur boundaries emotionally, psychically between what's originating from me versus what's affecting me from the outside, because I just feel everything. I'm just like an antenna covered with lots of tiny hairs. And I'm also in a really raw transition in life. And so that makes everything, hurt a little more and feel a little more sensitive. So anyway, that's just me. That's what I have to say. So I'm just going to reset my intention, pause, pull some cards, and then get into the reading part. Okay, so for the people watching this, what are the root causes or threads to their current struggle, discomfort, or lack of clarity? I'm going to start with these two because they feel the most important for some reason. And this might have different messages for different people. Okay, so there's a Six of Cups and the Queen of Cups coming out. The root of your emotional or this sense or this thing that you don't know what the root of it is, where it's coming from, it could have something to do with stolen childhood is what I'm hearing, or nurturing guardianship, because we have the Six of Cups and the Queen of Cups. And then I'm also seeing breath. I'm seeing breath, like breath of inspiration, breath of fresh air. I recently started to study a little bit of the correspondence between the tarot and the Torah, because I'm Jewish and I value integrity, and I know tarot is, especially in some religious communities, it's not really respected or understood to its, depth. And so I wanted to bring in some Torah and symbolism to kind of ground this even more. because I think tarot is a powerful, powerful tool instead of symbols. It's a language, it's a story arc book. Every card correlates with a different element, a Hebrew alphabet letter, a season, an archetypal story, a time of year. You know, there's so much to it, and I want to really bring that in. And so I've started just today to kind of dive into things and write things down and study and learn. And I think Hey, the Hebrew letter Hey, and I don't know the Hebrew alphabet too well. I learned some of it as a kid, but it slipped my mind. But Hey, I think, relates to like breath or air. And it even sounds like hey, like, you know. And I pulled, I think, the Six of Cups earlier, and there was something with that, maybe with the water element. But anyway, someone needs to just have this energy acknowledged. Like, there's a, in you, I don't know what the full picture here is, but there's something, it could relate to longing. But it's like, maybe all of this, so Six of Cups points to nostalgia and emotional reciprocation and friendship and a sense of emotional warmth and safety. And this card says Lord of Pleasure. We also have the sign of Scorpio and the sun. Oh, and we do have some Hebrew letters in the middle, but I don't actually know what they are. We have some lamids, we have an aleph, we have some, I think, yuds there. And I don't know what they are. I'm going to have to actually learn that. Queen of Cups, I don't see any Hebrew letters here, but we have Gemini and we have two Cancer signs. This is the Queen of the Thrones of Water. Queen of Cups is classic nurturer and psychic and intuitive. This just gives me the energy of like a well that runs deep. This is like the source of abundance. This could carry the energy of like an untouched childhood memory. This could represent your purity, your innocence. This could represent your childhood. This could represent infancy. This could represent vulnerability before, you were hurt. This could be a period of just total spiritual connection before anything happened, before you felt tainted, before you were taken advantage of. But this, I think maybe someone needed to be reminded that, this is kind of your essence. Not to reduce you to these specific archetypes, but the essence of vulnerability and youth and innocence and, pure, fluid, flowing, just your spirit, your soul. Every child is born this way. Every child is born this way. And we only lose connection to these things based off what we learn and what's nurtured versus neglected, and so I feel like the message here that I want to say to you is that even if you feel far away from these things, you're not. And the struggle or, challenge that maybe you're feeling right now, that the reason you clicked on this video could be because you feel like you kind of, nobody's maybe sees this, maybe you don't feel seen, maybe you don't feel like these parts are flourishing in the way that they were maybe designed, or maybe there's some impediment or something. I don't want to speak anything false over you, so again, use your discernment with this. But yeah, there's like this energy of like treasuring, the need to treasure. You need to be treasured, you need to treasure. That's what I'm seeing for this. And so I'll leave that here. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. So they might tell a story, but they might be different cards for different people. So I'm just gonna, I guess, one by one. Interesting. We also have the Six of Wands. So this relates to being seen. Yeah, so you could be feeling challenged or just an energy. See, what was the original question? The original question of this reading was, what is the root of your, challenge right now? The reason why you feel like you lack clarity, or that you're struggling. And this is literally this is the most validating, encouraging, empowering version of yourself looking at you straight in the mirror, the Six of Wands. So it's like, hey, remember that this is who you are. Remember your victories. Remember that actually you're triumphing right now. And you can't see it. Maybe you can't see it. But the fact that this is coming out tells me that, Lord of Victory, you are actively triumphing. You are actively kind of walking through flames. Like, that's a feat of superhuman strength. That quality is in this card, and this card is the recognition of it. So there could be some injury or disconnection from self-recognition, and that makes sense. You know what I was gonna say, and then literally the image is on the card here of looks like a raptor bird and flames, but literally I was gonna say it before I even saw this artwork, but when you're in the heat of transformation, or if you're like a phoenix rising, then and you're in the heat and you're in the fire and in the smoke, it's like, do you expect to see a shiny new version of yourself, like when you're literally burning and dying? No, not necessarily. But does that reduce you whatsoever? No, it just means that you're victorious. It means that you're doing the thing, and you might not see it because it's happening, but it's like when the dust settles, people aren't going to recognize you for who you used to be. People are going to look at you and they're going to be drawn to you. You're going to start getting compliments, acknowledgement, recognition, because people will feel your radiance. And people will probably see it, pick up on it before you even recognize it within yourself, because you're the one going through the thing. Next, we have the Devil, and this speaks to all of the shackles and attachments that I feel creeped out just looking at. Looking at these little guys. This speaks to temptation and patterns that you're undoing. It's like you're being forged. You're being forged. The devil is like shackles and things of the unconscious. And you know what, actually? I guess the major arcana do have Hebrew letters, so I'm actually going to pause this and look this one up to give you a little bit more mystical layering to this one. Okay, so this is the Hebrew letter Ayin, which correlates numerically to the number 70 and to sight, Ayin, the eye, seeing. So the devil literally speaks about, ooh, look at that sheen. Wow. Light. See that? Light reflecting. It perspective. Depending on how I face the card and where my camera is set up, I can illuminate something different. I can see something different. Do you see that? Right here, I can see a beam of light directly, just like the lights over there. But if I hold it like this, I don't see the light reflecting. Is the light still reflecting? Yes. I just can't see it like I can see it over here because of where I'm sitting, where the camera is, where the light is, my situation in space. I can only perceive the light. I can only see what's revealed by the light in these conditions. So I can't see the light the same way like this, right? So if I were to walk around and play with the light and the angles, I would see the light differently. I would see a different composition of reality. And that was just a perfectly timed little moment there, because the devil speaks to that. Perspective. You know what? Okay, so my advice for this, how do we liberate ourselves? How do we... So the answer in this card for my question for you, it would be, part of your suffering right now is because of a skewed perspective. It could be that your circumstances or something externally could be shielding you from the truth of a certain situation, or, hiding something from you. Or it could be that, you have internalized a certain snapshot of reality, however you want to interpret that. You have learned something in a moment in your life that created a certain rigid belief or a structure in your psyche to relate to reality. And until certain attachments are clearly seen for what they are, right? Like you can see through the nature of the foundations in your mind beyond just looking at it from one angle, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be poetic here, but maybe it's too waxy right now. But basically, this is perspective. You might need to change your perspective, and not in a you're wrong way. You need to do something different. You need to be different. You need to think different. It's think of it, it's like the devil put chains in your mind. And that's not your fault. You're a human being. We are limited. We're not God. We don't have godly perception. So it's in psychology and in the somatic world, one of the recommendations for breaking our own limitations is to change up even one small habit in our daily routine. Because when you're our brains are neuroplastic, which means we can change no matter how old we are. And we do develop, relatively hardwired patterns and conditions and ways of kind of being in the world. But in order to kind of loosen those or create new neural pathways in our minds, one hack is to take a different drive home from work every day, or to brush your teeth with your other hand instead, or to go visit some place that you've never been before. Also, from a somatic kind of cathartic healing perspective, one way is to make sounds that even freak you out a little bit, like rolling your tongue and speaking gibberish and shaking your body and moving in ways that you don't normally move, because what it does is it interrupts your automatic kind of processing, and it literally forces the brain and the body and the nervous system to pause and to be present. Because when we're present, we have the ability to see clearly. You know what I mean? It's if you think about a traumatized, oh my god, my foot is having a cramp. This is so unfortunate. Hold on. That sucked. But I'm fine. Sometimes my arches, they cramp like crazy, and I got Charlie horses in my feet. So I have some tension to work out, but my feet are kind of, they do a lot of holding, man. They hold a lot. Anyway, yeah, it like when you're present, you're able to see the reality of things. Because if you think of like a traumatized animal, for example, if you adopt a cat or a dog who had a sad past, an abusive past, and you bring them into your safe, loving home. I mean, there's so many stories that I see on the Facebook or whatever of people bringing home, rescues that didn't come from good, places. And it takes them sometimes months or years to like come out of their shell. And it's like, this is just a direct example of like sometimes, the animals, they came from conditioning that trained their nervous systems to scan and react to every little thing like, this is possible danger, this is possible danger, this is possible danger. And it takes consistent safety and presence to rewire the nervous system to actually see through. So like with the devil, it's not necessarily just a one and done deal where it's like you just have to wake up, you just have to see clearly, you just have to change your perspective and all of a sudden you'll be healed. That is such bypassing BS if I've ever heard any, because to break chains on a physiological somatic level, it takes consistency and care. And in that process, there's going to be a lot of vulnerability and, breakdowns and grief and just catharsis and whatnot. So, but this is just a nod to that. Okay, so next we have the Ten of Pentacles. Lord of Wealth. Okay, so this relates to inheritance. What would this mean? I feel like, you might be in a position where you're kind of moving away from what's not this, right? Like, it's like you're coming closer to this abundance, closer than you ever have. And it's like, I watch a lot of Christian prophetic word videos on YouTube because they have helped me so much and they have mirrored my experiences a lot, especially when I've had no people to talk to, and gone through those kind of isolation, hidden seasons in my life. And someone said something today, I've heard this a lot, and it's basically, when you get close to the promise, the enemy attacks viciously and strategically. So think of the Ten of Pentacles like complete security and fulfillment. I mean, Lord of Wealth, and literally this could be physical wealth, but also spiritual wealth. This is a card of family and stability and legacy. And it's like, there's weight to this. And this is like, this could speak to the legacy that you come from. This could speak to ancestry. You could be breaking generational curses, as they say. You could be you could be unearthing a lot of insight about your own ancestry, your own roots, maybe even genetics. You could be learning about some genes that you inherited, some inheritances, whether it's, genetic or cellular, or, we inherit cellular memory from our ancestors. And this is a card of legacy. It's like what you can build off of. This is kind of like the foundations to start building a family, building a, what it is that you have to transfer to your descendants, and what you're inheriting as well. This is like ancestral abundance, and your rightful inheritance. So there could be issues or things related to those topics that are maybe coming to the surface where they haven't been integrated or realized before. And so that could be causing a little bit of a sense of dissonance, because it's like when you're about to step into the thing that's meant for you, into the promise, there's usually always a moment or a period or a season where you can't see the way through. It's like you've dreamt your way and worked your way up to a certain point. And then it's like all of a sudden things feel like they crumble and you're like, what's the point? I don't even get why this is happening. I've done so much work. Why all of a sudden do I feel like I'm being forsaken? Or I feel like, where's my progress showing? But it's like, this is what you're coming to. This is what you're building. And so it's like usually before this thing manifests, before it's revealed, before it's given, there's always going to be those layers that you have to put, that you have to just go through before the truth and the reality of this is revealed, you know? So there might be some layers maybe blocking your vision to this, and that's one thing that could be causing a sense of triumph, struggle. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune. I'm gonna just pull these out over all at once. The Six of Swords and the Eight of Swords. Wow, we have 3 sixes here. Okay, I'm gonna look up the Hebrew correlation with the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so apparently, the letter is Kaf, and apparently it means palm of the hand, which I didn't know that, and I don't know if I bet there's other interpretations. I don't actually know, but according to my AI, symbolically, because this means hand, this is the Wheel of Fortune, this is about fate, right? So this has to do with surrendering, and if you're here and you like my videos, you relate to them, you probably understand your own version, at least, of what surrender really takes and what it can stir up in a person. Because when you surrender, you take off the cloak of your ego and you let it flail, and you let the illusions, right? The devil card, you let that come undone. And sometimes the undoing of that looks like chaos and it feels like chaos, but it's just the crumbling. It's like how when you feed fuel to a fire, it blazes, it crackles, it sparks, it explodes. But it is literally alchemizing. Fire, eats, you know? And it makes smoke. It changes things through intensity, through ravaging hunger, through a consumption so whole that it reduces what it's consuming to a more distilled essence of it. So the form changes, but the essence is still alive. And that's what surrender asks us to endure. There are 2 types of people in the world. People who follow the truth and people who want to stay comfortable. And people who follow the truth, they know what it's like to die, to have an ego death, to the fire. And like the Wheel of Fortune is like, you're surrendered. You got open palms, open hands. So it's like, you're letting life turn. And like, yeah, you're gonna get an unfathomable blessing and a payoff. You're gonna go through a change that blows your mind, you know, that surprises you. You're surrendered to the turning of the wheel. And at the same time, you know, the reason that you probably clicked on this video could be because surrendering to that is no freaking joke. It's no joke. And then moving on to the Six of Swords, this is literally about leaving things behind. You could literally be moving. You could be transitioning physically. You're leaving something behind. And that change, it's kind of like a shock to the nervous system. It's like there's always some excitement that comes. I've moved around a lot in my life. And I've kind of learned to be good at it from a survival place. Because for me in my life, moving has brought some of the most amazing things ever that I've ever had. But it's also put me face to face with some of the most challenging, painful experiences that I've ever had. And yeah, it's kind of two sides of a coin, you know. Leaving something behind means grief. It means surrender, it means letting go, and it means taking a leap of faith into the unknown. It means going off into horizons that you can't necessarily see. But I mean, the card, we have Lord of Earned Success. So what does this point to? It says when you leave behind what's not a match. I mean, the card before this is a five of swords, which is a card of discord, disharmony, argument, petty argument, disagreement, misalignment. And when you move past that, you create room for harmony. I mean, the number 6, structurally, geometrically, it carries a more stable, harmonious, and fluid energy, because you have 2 3s there, and 3 is a number of creativity and expansion, abundance, and the like a divine trifecta, mind, body, spirit, whereas 5 is expansion, change, speed, a little bit of maybe mental, not chaos, but motion, noise, you know. Yeah. So that's not easy. And then lastly, we have the 8 of Swords. So this is the Lord of Shortened Force. And this is real tricky. It's real tricky. I will tell you from experience. One of the things that actually this card reminds me of from my own experience is how I had a moment like the other day that inspired that video that I made, where I was like, I literally feel, I feel so horrible. I don't know what to do. You know, it was like I was just spiraling out and spinning out and like trying to grasp for like, God, what do I do? It's like, and the way that I was internally like acting, I guess, in those moments was so, hi, honey. It was so different to the version of me that, you know, left on this journey in the first place in full faith. And, you know, I have a portfolio, like I have proof of God's goodness and how God has listened to me. Like I have so many little testimonies. Oh my God, big ones. And yet, because I'm literally right at the end, I'm literally right at the edge of a freaking cliff of like where my cat's eating her food. I don't know if you can hear that. That's what that noise is. I'm literally right at the edge of like all of the culmination of all the visions and the directions and the instructions that I've been shown in dreams and intuitive hits and synchronicities and all kinds of things. It's like I'm right at the edge, and it's like there's a part of me that's like grasping, because it's like I literally need to surrender and trust that God is going to deliver the freaking thing. And you know what that means? It means that part of my ego is going to spiral the fuck out, okay? And this part of you too is probably flaring up. This is the Lord of Shortened Force. The 8 of Swords is commonly known as an anxiety mental ailment card, because the sword suit, the element of air, is already an unstable energy. It's air. And then when you add the 8 to it, the 8 is kind of like rapid expansion, infinity. And there's something about just the geometry, like the natural energy of these numbers and elements coming together that creates hyper frequency, hyper buzzing, like it's like a like there's speed with the 8, and there's these qualities that just kind of amplify what feels on a somatic or mental level like insanity. But it's not insanity. It's just your ego reaching the edge of what it knows. I freaking love doing these videos because I'm telling you as much as I'm telling myself exactly what I need to hear. And it's like, this just makes it so clear as day that like the thing to do is to surrender and have faith and continue taking care of my flesh, eating well, indulging when I can, when I want, but not overindulging, moving my body, spending time in nature, taking care of my cat, and, I don't know where I'm going next, what's coming next. But I know what has been promised to me. I know what my soul longs for. I know why I'm here doing what I'm doing right now. I know why I'm on this mission. But God is taking care of the details, and sometimes that can be it feels like impossible to trust when you're spiraling out like this, and you literally can't take not knowing. Yeah. Hi. You want to come up? Yeah. And this one knows what it feels like because my emotions are like soup to her that she doesn't necessarily always consent to drinking. She just kind of lives in my aura all the time. She's an absorber, She's a very empathetic girl and she feels everything. Yes, you do, honey. You want to say hi? You want to say hi? Okay. Yes, my good girl. So yeah, I hope this helped. Yes, honey. And, man, I think I said everything I needed to say. It doesn't necessarily make it any easier, but it does also make it easier in a way, because it's like, oh, that's what's happening. So that means that I don't need to go crazy, because if God's not telling me exactly what to do right now, then it's like, it actually doesn't matter. As long as I'm doing my best and doing what I know to do, And I think that's the thing. So I'll just end this with a little personal note. So one of my struggles, in case you can relate to this too, is so I get prophetic dreams and I live my life based off intuitive directions. And I've recently come to agree that it's God giving me the instructions. Why? Because it just makes sense. It's not coming from me, and it's coming from a place that's aligned. It makes sense. It's clear. It's in alignment with my spirit, my soul, how I'm made, who I am. And these visions are, certain geographical locations on Earth. There's certain lifestyles. There's certain circumstances, right? Conditions. And I basically live my life following that. And, I'm what a lot of these Christian prophets that I listen to on YouTube would call obedient to God. And sometimes obedience comes with very clear as day instructions, like, go here. Literally just go here. And like, that's it. Oh, that's all? Okay, I can just go there. I'm going to go there. I'm going to make it a point as soon as I can, I'm going to go. And so you do. And then in my life right now, I'm in a threshold moment where I've pretty much done all of the things that I was explicitly shown to do intuitively. However, there are like literally like one or two more locations that I haven't visited yet that are kind of, I feel like I need to go there, but those places were not as straightforward as some of the other places, but my soul still feels a resonance with them. So I know I need to explore them to kind of complete my mission, I guess. And there's a part of me, especially with that Eight of Swords, that's kind of flared up in the last couple of days about that, because my ego recognizes that I no longer have, or I will soon no longer have, solid instructions or proof of what to do and where to go after that. It's like I'm just in advance, like my ego is getting ahead of me and my life and not, being present. It's hard to relax, it's hard to be present, it's hard to surrender and trust when it's like I've literally done everything that I was instructed to do, and I'm going to be making my final move before I reach another unknown. And that's kind of terrifying because, it requires surrender, it requires faith, and that's the hardest part. And it's like, I know that I'm going to get what I set out to receive. Like, I know I'm going to receive what it is that my soul is crying out for, what it is that keeps me awake some nights just crying, what it is that makes me feel a longing so intense that it makes me numb. I know that thing, or those things or whatever, like, they're gonna come into my life. I know that. I just know it. However, the frequency of like the intensity of that longing and the fact that soon I won't have any instructions left or tasks left after that. It's like, okay, what comes next and where's the proof or whatever. It's like the mind, the ego just spirals out trying to look for things to hold on to. That would be like the Devil card and the Eight of Swords, and I mean, just everything I just read, it's pretty parallel to my experience. So anyway, that's pretty much all I wanted to share. And if this video helped you, if you feel like you resonated with it, especially if you stayed this long, please leave a comment and let me know, if you relate to it, or if you have any testimonies of your own to share, or anything specifically that resonated with you in this video, or any words of love that you want to share to other people who are going through this kind of thing, or if you need a prayer, if you need support, if you need a vent, if you need to cry out in a comment section, you're welcome to. I want to build a sense of community, and I love making videos like this, and I'm excited to incorporate more of my own Jewish tradition into reading tarot. And to be honest, that was a big reason why I paused for a while, because again, I value integrity and I value truth. I value being rooted and grounded in my actions and what I share, what I teach, what I do. And I like to share from a place of personal lived experience and not just going with what other people are saying or doing just because it seems good or looks good. It's like there needs to be substance and meaning for me to feel comfortable doing something, sharing something, talking about something. So now that this is coming in, I feel more of a contentment and this internal go ahead to kind of do tarot stuff. So I think I said I've been wanting to do a reading on YouTube again for weeks, but I haven't because of that reason. I took a pause and now it feels aligned again. So yeah, I'm going to leave this there. I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.